Research Center for producing the ATUS datasets based on the raw BLS data. American scholars are remarkably ethnocentric in their concentration on domestic issues, in far too many cases basing general conclusions about people's behavior solely on results produced using American data. And because of the predominance of American scholarship worldwide, especially in economics, scholarly research too often gives the impression that we have learned something about people's behavior generally, when in fact we have only learned about the behavior of less than 5% of the world's population that resides in the U.S. If Americans' use of time were representative of time use worldwide, or at least of that in other rich countries, there would be no problem. As I explain throughout the book, though, along some dimensions, Americans use time much differently than do citizens of other wealthy countries. To demonstrate these differences and to understand how people generally spend time, on most of the topics that I discuss, I also present evidence based on time diaries kept by people elsewhere. While I use information from many countries, including Australia, Canada, Italy, Japan, Korea, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain, most of the comparative analysis relies on original calculations using time diaries collected in 3 large, wealthy European countries. France,
Enquête emploi du temps,
2009 to 2010, about 24,000 diaries. Germany, Zeitverwendungserhebung, 2012 to 2013, about 25,000 diaries. And the United Kingdom, Time Use Survey, 2014 to 2015, about 16,000 diaries. In some cases, I use these data instead of the American data because the latter lack information on some crucial aspects of time use.
I thank the Centre Maurice Albvachs in Paris, Statistisches Bundesamt in Wiesbaden, and the Multinational Time Use Survey of Oxford University for providing these datasets.
Here too, when I refer to calculations for each of these countries, I am referring to calculations based on these particular sets of data. With much of the discussion based on previous analyses of data or on new analyses using these 4 sets of data, the question is how to present the results in an interesting and comprehensible way. From my experience teaching more than 25,000 undergraduates over the past 50 years, I'm convinced that explaining figures works best. There are also none of the equations that are so beloved by economists. I began working on questions about people's use of time in the late 1980s, publishing in 1990 2 scholarly articles on the subject, both based on U.S. time diary information from the mid-1970s. Since then, I have been continually studying questions related to time use, increasingly in conjunction with other economists. Many of the ideas in this book and much of the information presented come from these joint efforts. The volume would not have been possible without the ideas and labor that these scholars have supplied over the years. Thus, Jeff Biddle, Hilke Budelmeier, Michael Burda,
Ana Rute Cardoso,
Katie Ganadek,
Ruben Grono,
Daji Kawaguchi, Hungmin Lee, Caitlin Myers, Gerard Fan,
Mark Pocock,
Joel Slemrod, Elena Stencanelli, Stephen Trejo,
José Varejao, Philippe Vail,
and Mark Wooden have all published scholarly work with me that provides the basis for some of the arguments here. While it wouldn't be fair to implicate any of them as co-authors, their work and inspiration clearly made this book possible. Other people, too, can be thanked as unindicted co-conspirators. A Barnard student, Mia Lindheimer, made a useful suggestion, and our New York neighbor, Kevin Hyams, made a very helpful point. George Borjas offered help on Chapter 8, and Pierre Cahouk provided good comments on Chapter 10. David Pervin, who has shepherded this book from its inception, commented in detail on every chapter and greatly improved the book's organization. My sister, Deborah White, caught some errors in the final draft. My wife, Frances Whitty Hamermesh, read every word in the first and second drafts and greatly improved the logic of the exposition and the arrangement of the ideas. Throughout the discussions, I motivate the issues by anecdotes, things that I have observed that illustrate in daily life how we spend our time and help us to understand why we make the decisions that we do. Many of these come from my wife's and my experiences and interactions. Others stem from the behavior of our daughters-in-law, Amy and Hannah Hamermesh, and our 6 grandchildren, Jonathan, Samuel, Miriam, Yona, Noah, and Raphael Hamermesh, all of whom also offered suggestions about the book's title.